Everyone, this meeting is officially being recorded, and I will give it over to the chair, Mr. Joseph Benavides.
In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, notice is hereby given to the public that the Strategic Planning and Rules and Regulations Committee of the Crystal Clear Special Utility District shall hold a committee meeting on April 2nd, 2026, beginning at 1 p.m. at the district offices located at 2370 FM 1979, San Marcos, Texas. The subjects to discuss, considered, or upon which action may be taken are listed below. Anybody open the meeting?
101. Yes, sir. So,
We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
which is a
Lord, as we come to celebrate your resurrection, your crucifixion, your resurrection this weekend, we ask that you put that on everybody's hearts, make them humble them and let them know the sacrifice you made for all of us to enjoy and live the life that we do. Thank you for the freedoms that we have living in this country, and protect those who are overseas protecting us. And we do all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Item 2, public comments. Do we have anybody signed up for public comments? Mr. Moon?
I'm the best. I'm unknown. I brought my rules and regulation books, and this is what we'll be talking about. And other than that, I'm just waiting for to hear the comments of the board and stuff.
So yeah, it does have, yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right, cool.
Agenda items. You got these, what is it, item 3 would be the agenda items?
Yes, sir.
3A, yeah.
3A, very well. Discussion and possible recommendation of the board of directors regarding rules and regulation changes with the leak adjustment policy, multiple connections of single tap, owner and tenants, and easements. Because we had pretty much decided on all of these except the multiple meters. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So if you go to the first one in your packet, staff provided actual verbiage. So that's the difference. So with these are still on there because what we're looking for is a recommendation from this committee to move this up to the board for approval of the amending the rules and regulations for these specific items that we're looking to address here. So in the event, so this, as discussed, we went from it still stays within the 12-month billing period, and then it goes in up to the 3 billing cycles with the discretion from the general manager. I'm not mistaken. Where was that?
Yeah, we went to 1 to 2.
It's highlighted. There it is. No more than 2 months billing cycle if leak occurs across 2 billing cycles per parcel or adjacent parcels under the common ownership. The general manager shall have the sole unappealable discretion to adjust over 3 billing periods.
Thank you. Greg Rossi.
Sounds good to me.
Working pretty good. Okay, you did have the larger parcels, so you're not gonna take that down. Good. Do I have a motion to approve?
I don't think you have to.
Yeah, is there a motion? No, not necessarily, or
No, it's just for a recommendation.
Okay, very well. All right, item 3A2. On that one, I've reached out to separate counsel, and I haven't heard anything solid yet, but one thing we do need to change the wording on. Currently, we have more than one structure. I think that's very unfair wording because they could be a workshop, they could be a garage, could be whatever. It's considered a structure, and that would make them get another meter for that. So for the time being, we need to change the wording to not be structure. I think it reads more than one structure. Is that how it reads?
No more than one residential, commercial, or industrial service connection is allowed per 5/8 meter per Texas Administrative Code. So
On the rules and regs, I'm pretty sure it's per structure. It does not read structure.
this is straight out of the rules and regs, right? So yeah.
Okay, so on the rules and regs, it does not read structure.
District may require the owner.
We can certainly look to
Okay.
ensure, but
Oh, that's great.
I copied it straight out of the.
Yeah, no, it
All right.
doesn't, it
If
speaks.
that's the case, then great, wonderful. And then on our wording, do we have per household or per house? How do we have that?
Would be habitable structures, so each habitable structure is required.
Yeah, I don't think that there's, the way it's written in our rules and regs based off the code is one, like to say basically who's the habitable structure, what's in there. So
So an RV with a garden hose hooked up to would be considered a habitable structure.
Is this the prohibition of multiple connections to a single tap?
yes,
Yes.
It's on your SBS sheet as well.
yes, sir.
We deny any structure in this.
No, there's nothing in
Not
here
really
for structure.
No, that's my official copy.
Yeah, that's.
And I think, you know, for RVs being hooked up, I mean, I think that's, I've seen people do that every time, you know, if they come back from a trip and they got a hose hooked up to it to clean it out and stuff like that. That's not necessarily saying the same thing now if the RVs,
Thank you.
you know,
There are separate rules also for RVs as far as connections go. So
okay.
eight RVs equals one LU. So it would take quite a lot of,
Yeah, but in this case, just the way it's worded, habitable structure.
It doesn't say
That-
that.
It does not.
No.
No,
What does it?
Like red, it says.
yeah, no more than one, open parentheses, close parentheses, residential, commercial, or industrial service connection is allowed per 5/8 meter. The district may require the owner of a multi-unit building or dwelling of an apartment, an apartment building or mobile home / RV park or other commercial accounts to apply for a single meter as a master meter to count per. It also lists the different sections under the rules and regs, but it doesn't speak to structure. So what that would trigger is if somebody built a shop next to the house, that would just trigger a regular CSI. That would just be to ensure that the plumbing, or just to ensure that if there's backflow, correct backflow, and that there's no, you know, lead-based solder, or, you know, just to ensure that they're meeting that stuff. That would not require another meter, but if you go into it and no offense, Mr. Mead, I'll use, you know, your houses are.
Feel free.
Your houses, you know, can very much appear like a workshop, but then they're, of course, they're 2 bedrooms apartments. Now that clearly is a habitable structure. And again, the CSI, well, the first thing it kicks off is a CSI. And then the CSI will then dictate, you know, whether someone is living in there, whether someone isn't living in there, ultimately just to ensure that if there is any plumbing, that it is properly backflowed or there's proper backflow prevention. And then if there is plumbing and it is habitable, then, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, from that point, we would let them know that, you know, we would also kind of let them know that.
Yeah,
The
no
law
problem with
doesn't do
CSI, no problem with all that, but if we say, okay, and that side of the example, because it's coming up often, a sibling will.
They're doing that national test.
A child moving to take care of the parent, and that automatically triggers the need for another meter. We're up to 12,000 to change, you'd like it to bump up to 14,000 to change for a residential meter. That's assuming there's no digging to be done instead of, or no extraordinary work. And as it is already pressed for that, and then we're saying, hey, shell out another 14.
I think that's more of a one-off situation, whereas, you know, the single meters on tap is designed to encompass the entire district. Now, if there is someone that does move in, you know, and we notice that there's another structure being built and it's being inhabited, or there's reason to believe that there could be, you know, it could be a habitable structure, knowing that they only have, or multiple habitable structures, knowing that there's only one account associated with that. At that point, again, we'd execute the CSI, and if we were to take it one step further and say that there was we did see that there was a habitable structure at that point. You know, we would then, you know, there would be a feasibility study, correct me, stop me if I'm wrong, you know,
And if you lead up to them putting up a new meeting,
which could potentially be the need.
which would, it would be for that.
Yes, sir. And again, that's not to say that,
Cause I know of two cases, that's exactly the case.
yeah,
Child moved in, take care of an older parent. They're obviously hurting, they can't afford a nursing home or a long-term care. They're obviously helping out, and then for us to hit them yet for 12,000 to change right now,
and
plus all the associated fees with it.
I think that's where, you know, we as the district can definitely take those circumstances into consideration, work out a payment plan. I mean, again, you just 24 months is what we're currently dealing with Mr. Youth. But when it
I'm
comes,
still paying, and so would everybody else.
but again, sir, I can't dictate that, how they go about providing cover for that family, but where I will say is, in this case, you know, this isn't even necessarily a rules and regs committee, or this isn't even a rules and regs within Crystal Clear, it's a state law that essentially we have to ensure that everyone follows that.
And we can make that easier if we weren't so expensive. My goodness.
Yes, sir, that's definitely a
That's
different
definitely something we're
conversation.
looking at, bringing down the prices, because it is too.
Are you talking about rates? Or are you
No,
talking
I'm talking
about?
about installation.
Yeah, so
The rates aside, you know, we are
I
pretty
just want to
high.
get sidetracked off of
Yeah,
that.
$90 minimum per month, plus whatever you use in water.
Yes, sir, and we're definitely, we're cognizant of that, and staff is working on ways to do that, but sticking
I
to
didn't see that, because you're advertising that you got a new impact fee, and that you're gonna go ahead and start doing plans to use that higher fee.
yes,
The board did not decide that. The board said that it was gonna mull that, consider it, and you're out there advertising, hey, we got a new higher fee. Guys, draw up a plan. Let's see how we're gonna spend this.
per legal, sir, given the fact that there's still some time for the protestant in that matter to file a ruling against that ruling, we're not at liberty to discuss that.
But the board has decided not to implement that. Consider it. They're gonna mull it over. That's precisely why we got that program, to go ahead and play with the numbers ourselves instead of trusting somebody like Will Dan.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
let's see what the numbers are. But the way you're approaching it is.
You all rewatched the video?
I rewatched the video, and there was
Last one.
from the last board meeting, sir, and again, just to stick to the agenda that's laid before us, I can't say that, sir, that I understand it's a very contentious topic for you, but it's just not, we're not at liberty to discuss.
Okay, the reason I bring that up is because you're saying, well, we're trying to find ways to limit it. No, you're not. You're trying to find ways to spend the higher fee.
This is beyond the scope of the agenda.
Yes, sir.
This is beyond the scope of the agenda.
Yep. Could be, but it narrowed down into saying we're trying to find ways to, because he's saying the agenda is multi-taps, right? Multi-connections on one tap.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is what makes that harder to digest is how expensive it is.
Understand it.
So he said, well, we're trying to figure out a way to bring it down. And I said, no, you're not.
Say?
So we're trying to figure out ways to bring down the
Yes.
price.
What
Yeah.
I think what I'm saying, sir, is there's ways that we can work with the customer. But it's hard to, you know, given any situation that the district is favoritism, you know, we don't want to come off in a way where we're showing favoritism, or favoritism can be, you know,
An accusation.
an accusation. Again, it is an area that there have been previous instances where the district has been able to implement or use a payment plan to ease the burden of a full payment outright.
May I ask a question?
So,
It says a commercial, no more than one residential, commercial, or industrial on a 5/8 meter, or a single meter as a master metered account. Does that mean that you can have multiple dwellings on that 5/8 meter if you transfer from a residential account to a master metered account?
then you start looking at, that would require probably more than
The
one
master meter
LUV.
still has to determine its size, so as long as it's sized accordingly, you can master meter off 1 meter, but it has to be sized accordingly. I think that's the,
Yeah, I think that's the way to say that is, if there's multiple if there's multiple dwellings that you have a master meter, chances are, correct me if I'm wrong, that master meter that would constitute non-standard service.
yes,
So then you would enter into a non-standard service agreement. And then that would then create the whole feasibility study. And then if it would show more than 1/5/8 meter. I can assure you that.
Or an upsizing just in one single meter still, right?
Yes.
That's the determination of the
Yes.
master meter account.
Yes.
So, and a 5/8 meter does approximately 300 gallons a day, if I remember right. 30 days is 9,000 gallons. For a 5/8 meter typical usage.
Yes, sir. Where are you going with this? I guess is what I'm trying to.
Where I'm going with it is I have multiple dwellings and I use less than 10,000 gallons a
And
month
yes,
on my 5/8 meter.
for your house specifically,
For my property, yes,
or
specific,
for all the houses,
all the
dwellings?
houses together. Prior to the change in January 2025, I was using less than 10,000 gallons for all my structures, my animals, my garden, as total.
And then again, understand that, but again, looking
I'm
at
just
what's
trying to
black and
figure
white.
out if you go from the residential to the master metered account, you do change from a standard to a non-standard agreement. I'm just looking at the water usage meters to meters and sizes to sizes to help justify the verbiage here. Single meter, 5/8, residential, commercial, standard, non-standard. It seems to be a little cloudy in this paragraph.
Yeah,
Perhaps that might be an angle to look at, where instead of asking them to go ahead and do another meter, you say, hey, we're gonna change the label on your meter to a master meter and work with them on the cost of that. If they're into the 5/8 or below what a 5/8 uses, 300 gallons a day, would that be something feasible?
that's not how, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Howard, I don't think that's how the laws are written. The law doesn't take into
Yeah.
gallons per minute into consideration when you start calculating what the meter size should be based off. We don't look at it based off of what we assume they're gonna use. We have to look at it based off of the living structures that are on site. So if you were to take 3 structures, I don't think they would necessarily equal out to 3 full LUEs. Correct me if I'm wrong, it could be wrong, but that's like, it does, just because it's 3 structures doesn't automatically mean 3 LUEs. Or, so it would be a meter size adjustment, which would be, again, a non-standard service agreement, which would trigger different fees.
but even larger meters are charged on a per LUE basis. So if a 3-inch meter holds X amount of LUEs, that's the price. So 5/8 is 1. 1.5 would be 2, or 2.5, 3. Then you would pay 3 times the amount of a 5/8. So you see what I'm saying?
And so what would a
So-
inch and a half pay?
So if 1 5/8 inch meter is whatever the new one is,
$50.
times 3. So you're gonna pay 1 install fee, but you're gonna pay
The equivalent.
So what would
the
that be
equivalent of,
per month?
I don't have those numbers right off the top
I
of
turn it
my
off, that
head.
stuff that you emailed me.
Before
But
we-
again,
I just want to understand the concern. Are we talking about multiple family residential units?
Correct.
Okay.
So what we're saying about multiple houses on 1 meter is a problem. Or the point, that the problem is how expensive it is for these other dwellings to get meters. That's the problem. It's not per se that, the meter can handle that volume or what have you, or they're using over the LUEs or what have you. No, it's just too darn expensive to get another meter in there. And that's the problem. It's not that people don't want to get the meter, it's just too expensive for people to get the meter. That is the problem. So perhaps say, well, if we got 3 dwellings, maybe we go to a 1-inch meter, or we master meter it, that may end up being cheaper than having 3 meters.
The base rate.
That's what we're toying with.
Options are explored once that study comes back.
Yeah, so that's all stuff that we give to the customer. You know, it's not just, this is what you have, you know, we'll tell you, okay.
Like,
Like
what's the monthly charge on
a
the,
1 inch base rate is $134.98 currently. And 5/8, and again, this is a base rate. This doesn't include
Yeah.
the fees. The base rate for a 5/8 is $53.99.
okay, but, for example, a 5/8, but this include all the other fees. I know the 5/8 is what, 89.74, what is it per month?
It's 89. The fees are listed, it's just not together, but it is,
Yeah, it doesn't have one.
it's 35.48 in our fees plus the 53.99 for 5/8.
Okay, which ends up being at the 80.
Yeah.
89.74, and that's for the 5/8. And then for the 1 inch, we ended up at what? After all the fees?
It's,
The same fees, right?
oh, yeah.
No, it's by size.
Well, it's 123, but it's plus the
Still working on
$35 still.
Yeah, because it's by LUE.
Give me one.
She comes like.
So it'd be 35
Yeah, so
times.
you can do the math.
I'm gonna grab something off the printer that I did when you're after it.
For 1 inch,
Well, 1 inch with the monthly fees and all the other fees, what's the minimum charge that the 1 inch would
So
be?
you're looking at, on your phone, but for a 3/4 or 1 inch meter, yeah. That's the insulation unit.
I'm looking at the definition of connection
Mhm.
that TCEQ has, and it says a family residential unit or any commercial or industrial establishment. And the TCEQ's rules go on to say that each single family residential unit or each commercial or industrial establishment has to have its own meter.
For 1 inch, the base rate would be 181.11 before consumption.
But does the meter have to be $14,000 for a residential?
It would be more for a 1 inch.
Or, no, not a one, it's
for the
5.
5/8.
I mean, I know people that have 4 kids. Their well went dry when the Barrel Ranch was put in. My well went dry also. They were on a water well, so now they want to get a water meter, but they can't afford it. So what, I mean, how? What do you do? Just, what do you do? Just move? Just, there's,
I would move around this area. I know that I believe Michael sent
there's
you
no way we can.
that showed where the
And I think that's
cheapest
what
right
Michael
now.
was getting at is offering a payment plan to go.
Carry some weight, like, we're not as bad as those guys. Oh, we're still pretty bad.
I didn't say we're not bad. I said we're the cheapest right now for all of our surrounding rural areas. So if they moved, it would cost them more. I mean, and I know they don't want to move. I'm just trying to point out that we're not the only ones. So, that have- and it's-
How expensive it is. to
Bring
get
it
a
back
meter.
to, we have plenty of water, but my well went dry. Their well went dry. Everybody on my road's well went dry.
The water that is utilized in our district by those that have wells does not come, the water that's utilized out of the tap doesn't come from within our district. So, I'm not sure what well you were on, Ms. Trent, but the wells that are in the closest area that's have somewhat, that can produce water would be the Trinity Wells, Edwards, where we're at the very, very north top. And then based off some other hydraulic profiles, we do have the permits for the Kingsbury wells. I'm not sure what wells the local landowners are on, but the water purveyors that we buy water from utilize, the only wells that they would utilize come from down by Nixon and where we took a trip to, and then the other ones are in the R1.
Well, I understand all that, but what I'm just saying is, when you have been on a well for 45 years, and then Navarro Ranch comes in, and the one little Cordova, and all of our wells go dry, and then it's like, well,
That
that's
is
what
what they're
water, too bad.
Yeah,
We're
so-
gonna pay $14,000 for a meter to get water now.
I mean, the problem we have is there are people we would like to have, right? People to, who.
That we want to have.
Yeah, who $14,000 is a lot of money for.
Yeah,
But I can't charge you $14,000 and I can't charge you $5,000. We cannot discriminate among customers.
Or you can run more efficiently, bring down the price.
I think you know, in these situations, it's not that, you know, staff's trying to, it's not that we can't work with these customers. We will work with these customers. We need them to come in and talk to the district.
That's what I need to know. If you go and tell
Yes, like we,
people that come to me and go, I don't.
come in and we will do our best to evaluate the situation undiscriminatively. That was a long word.
That was smooth.
Yeah, it came out smoother than I thought it would. Um, compassion is not something that I run short on. And it, again, being from this area, I understand that. So what it is we just need them to come into the district, but we also got to hold them to, we as the district are held to this by the state's regulatory agencies. And it's either, there is no either truly, but that's where this rubber meets the road and it gets difficult for us to navigate these situations, but navigate, we are willing to do to the best of our ability,
Which would mean a payment plan.
which would be getting them into the door, understanding their situation, and then going from there.
A payment plan.
I can't say that. I don't know what their situation
We
in
can't
this case.
discriminate, so we can't charge them less. We're gonna charge them the same, so we're just giving them a payment plan.
Yeah, the discrimination thing, I mean, yeah, we cannot discriminate, but even then, it's not. I think the perception, or if there is a perception that we're just, you know, unrealistic to what's going on in this society. I mean, that's not true. I mean, we all live in this community. We know what's going on. We're aware of what's going on. So we just have a deeper understanding of it being here, working within the utility. It is one of those, you know, processes that makes it hard for those that are month to month, stuff like that. But the thing is just, you know, whether it's a payment plan, whether it's something along those lines, what it is just,
Or we lower
There's ways.
wages, which is the more difficult choice to make, but it is doable.
it's the choice that that is very, very multiple layers deep when it comes to what that true answer is.
Yep.
And we are working on
Which
providing
is
that.
why several board members are looking into the numbers and hopefully there's
And we appreciate that.
that we can look at those numbers. We gotta figure out a way to bring it down.
Well, at least I know what to tell the people that come to me and they're like, and basically, I'm sorry, I'm on the board, if I can say this, but I'm just like, run the water hose. Because I mean, they have to have water, there's 4 kids, they can't afford a meter, so what are you gonna do? I
You
mean,
know, funny you say the water bill thing, previous management would demand to go into properties to see if they're running water.
no, I know, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Is it backflow reasons, right?
But
When you're desperate and.
No, I get that.
Can't afford a move and.
I could-
Water.
I can tell you, one of the things that always stuck with me from my previous job during the winter storm was, speaking of desperation, was there's the main 30-inch, 36-inch lines that run in around the district and all for everyone, especially like the Vista Ridge that runs through our district and the Arwa that runs through our district. And every so often you'll see that blue pipe sticking out of the ground. That's a air release to make sure that the line never collapses and stuff like that. Well, if you have a bad check valve, it'll spit water out in the event in certain situations. And during that winter storm, there was not enough water in the tank to give pressure to people's houses, but there was water because there was water blowing off on some of these air valves. So I've seen people put buckets to that stuff. So I understand the, you know, desperation aspect of, but just the district will do everything we can to remain, you know, not discriminate and ensure that we remain in compliance. Yes.
They're ready to compliance and the compliance should be a lot easier for our customers if we're not so outrageously expensive.
Does the committee have specific questions on the rule language?
No, not the rule change. Okay. All right. Do you have any question? Director Lawson?
No.
I can assure you, Mr. Davis, I understand how important rates and fees are to you.
3A3, owner and tenants, what are we talking about there?
You want to take this one, Yesenia?
It's a updated language, it's below, so it will show the current rules language, and then the updated, language that we're recommending.
This for where the tenant itself will put the deposit and be responsible for the bill?
Yes, so they're still, well, they are responsible for,
If that deposit doesn't cover.
the monthly bill, but, again, this still, the verbiage of the owner still stays responsible for the accounts. Is
After,
the-
after the deposit is used.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but the deposit would be paid, anytime a tenant moves in and out.
And we don't have the fee in here because we don't do that in the wording, but we would change the fee where what y'all had talked about last time, where it's 300 for the owner and then 400 for each tenant. So
Where was that? Because I know you looked at that and changed that.
Since,
It's in the rate,
it's in the rate chart. I think that is section, I can't think of.
G. Right.
That's the honor.
Yeah. Look in section G.
Oh, I got it right
Is that where the fee's on?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you
here.
go.
Well,
It's
this doesn't have any of the changes, this is.
No, because we just would have added it to that section of the fees.
It's gonna be on page, if the page
Page
number may be
22.
different, we'll try page 54.
Okay.
On the bottom, it should have page numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On page, yes, 54 is just the rate charge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what.
And that's where we would
That's
update
where
that.
we would update, because we would have the owner as the 300 and the tenant as the 400. It's just not in the actual verbiage in that section. Doesn't give you the fee.
But the owner is still on the hook.
If your
After the
deposit.
400 deposit.
Yeah.
Correct.
But he's still on the hook.
Yes.
Yeah.
and responsible for switching in and out of their tenants and
Where does it read that the tenant, should he skip out on this, cannot get service from Crystal Clear? He doesn't liquidate the balance. I don't read that anywhere here.
we don't have that in the rules and regs, but that is a policy that we have as far as the software that we use. We get their driver's license number, so it automatically comes up if they have debt in another location.
Okay,
And that's with owners as well.
okay, good, good, good.
How often have you experienced that?
With tenants, not as much, but I couldn't say offhand like how many,
Yeah.
Not
I
enough,
would have-
not
yeah.
enough for you to know.
yeah, not enough for it to be like, hey, we should look into this, or like, hey, this customer is moving from this place to this place, so.
So, very well. We do not need a motion to approve this. Very well. Director Ross, any questions?
No, I believe the punishment of the $400 is going to reduce the number of times it happens
Yeah, I think so.
substantially.
This would be retro, it won't be retro, so anybody moving forward after it's approved by the board
I'm glad you cleared that up. Yeah, we'll be right back.
will not be retro, yeah.
Any questions? No. All right. Easements. All right, let's look at the wording there.
So the change is highlighted, of course, it has the current on top and then the updated language with the highlighted change specifically on the SBS sheet.
And that's where we're not asking for that frontage. Or requiring, I should say.
I'll read it out loud just for the sake of anybody going back and looking at this, but it's the district shall request but not require the acquisition of frontage easement from one property line to another except where necessary to provide system-wide as authorized by Texas Water Code Section 49.218, subsection D, subsection 2. The district shall require an easement no greater than 100 square feet in the connection with fixtures such as meters and hydrants to permit installation and maintenance of the same. If frontage easement extending from property boundary to property boundary is or becomes necessary to provide service to adjacent parcels for the system-wide service, the district may both request the grant of such easement and invoke its power of eminent domain to acquire such easement.
And I can speak to that a little bit because obviously,
Hmm.
I think everybody can probably guess I drafted that.
Yeah. The problem is the first sentence, system-wide service. That is very broad.
Well, that actually, we are authorized to do that. by that
Yeah.
section of the water code.
You are authorized, but
So if your neighbor, you need to extend all the way across your frontage to get to a neighbor,
Yeah.
We're gonna have to acquire that easement.
Yeah, you're correct, but we can acquire it at that time.
That's what
Yes.
it's,
The argument.
that's what it says. Yeah.
But what I interpreted is this could be, hey, eventually, we're gonna need to run over there, so give an easement now. Now, if we need it, we can always get it, there's not a problem.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, Mr. Moot just happens next to be to Navarre, and we know eventually there's gonna be houses out there. Well, we might as well ask them for the easement now, because we know that eventually we're gonna need it, and it's gonna be a system-wide issue.
What if it's two houses next to each other that are under construction?
That's fine, but what I'm saying is, by saying system-wide, you can argue the now rather than the when you actually need it.
Okay, that's an easy change.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make that change.
Okay. Easy change. But otherwise, the 100 square feet is the 10-foot by 10-foot area that the board referred to.
Yes, correct. And so we have a meter, 10 foot, 10 foot, 10 foot, 10 foot, am I saying that correctly? It's a meter right in the center.
Yep.
It's a fire hydrant, what have you.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So we agree, we get to
Well, I would
the
wait for
changes,
the changes to be done.
but like,
and we can approve it.
I think that we can change it and have it ready for the board meeting.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yes, okay, so we don't have to bring it back to
Yeah,
this committee.
yeah, let's knock stuff out.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure that I was,
Yeah, no.
okay.
Fully agreed. Item 3. E, customer service inspection letter.
Has anybody had the chance to read it by chance? Mr. Roscoe and Mr. Benavides?
No, sir.
Essentially what it is it's our way of acknowledging, the misstep that the program, was to begin with, and then acknowledging that, or at least letting everyone know that we're gonna put an end to the program. When I say end to the program, I mean end to the reimbursement program. It's not an end to the requirement for CSIs to remain in compliance. It'll based off of the board being very gracious and allowing more employees to for the staff to go out and get more employees to help in this matter. It'll bring it back in-house. But essentially, it's just, I can give y'all some time to read it if you just want to go through.
No, I just noticed it's effective September 30th.
Because that's just the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we had, honestly, the idea around of doing sections of CSIs of all our service area. This is different. This is the first time I'm hearing of the program ending on September 30th, 2026.
This is the credit.
The credit program.
The credit, yes.
Yes, sir.
So if they get their CSI and then bring us in there, what they pay for it up to, what is it, 100?
Yes,
Yeah.
100? Yeah.
100, yeah. Then we get credit for that. This is the first I'm hearing that it ends on September 30th.
Yes, sir. And we're doing that to line up. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. It's just, we're doing it to line up with the fiscal year. So that way, we call out in there that, and the reason we get it out as early as we do in April. This wouldn't be the only one. This wouldn't be the only notification. We would do another one, probably as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. But this would go out in its own letter. It wouldn't be attached to anything. So that way customers can open it up. And then that way they can see and kind of, see the accountability that staff's taking, and then also understand like, hey, okay, I haven't done it yet. I see that I'm running out of this opportunity. Let me go ahead and knock it out. And if not, cool, we've already done it, but I haven't submitted my credits. Let me go back and let me make sure I get my credit back in. Clearly it'll be post dated or predated to September 30th, if that's the case.
We're gonna have issues. People are not gonna do it regardless. And then we're gonna threaten to take their meter off, et cetera.
No, sir. No, sir. That's not the case at all. What we'll do is we'll
That process hasn't been.
the process, so staff will identify and our compliance representative is identifying how many houses remain per route. There wouldn't be, and this is also the board president's, something that he feels strongly about. So saying that we're going to discontinue service isn't necessarily anything that we would lead with. It would be we would make every opportunity to ensure that we are in communication with the customer, letting them know that the CSI, that they need a CSI.
So let's say they don't do it. You talk to them, you tell them everything, send them letters, visit them in person, and they don't do it.
If it meets the criteria of which is, through the state, which is, presents hazardous, you can see something hazardous or detrimental if, there's been a new build on the structure. Or what was the third one?
Cross contamination.
Well, there's a belief of cross contamination. That's one.
New service.
There's new plumbing, new service. It's already in our rules and regs that will not, that comes with it. It's not, again, this is one of those things, ideally, this isn't to say whether somebody's gonna do it or not. This is just for the program. When we run across those cases, we'll do our best to, exercise the communication and make sure that we work with that individual. But for now, what we want to at least establish is that we are putting in that the board's wish is to put an end to the program, so that way we can move forward, going back and doing them internally.
Well, again, this is the first I've heard of putting an end to that program. That had never been mentioned, brought, insinuated, nothing.
So I want to answer that, Mr. Benavides, just so it's clear.
Sir,
We know it's the first, and that's why we're bringing it to y'all. So that's what for this committee. So we want to tell you what we think is a good idea, what staff wants to do. And so y'all look through it and decide if this is what you want to do, and we'll recommend to the board. So we know it's the first time you've seen it. Does that make sense?
This letter, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not ready to go to the board until y'all have, worked through it, and then we can take it to the board.
I am exceptionally impressed with the second sentence. You made a mistake. I am really, really impressed by
And then
that.
put it-
That's courage.
Putting my name on the bottom of it.
That's remarkable.
There's a name and there's a date, there's a name.
So,
There's a face.
and again, I have no problem, of doing that. Again, it's just, this is just that initial ease into it. So if the board was to approve it on the April 23rd board meeting, we would send it out, as soon as possible. So that way,
Well, we're gonna have CSIs for everybody anyway, right?
yes, sir.
So
And so we would go in-house.
we entice them to get it done sooner with this.
Yes, sir.
But if they don't do it, then why don't we go ahead and undertake it and do the CSI ourselves? And that way we get all the CSIs we need and we cover our butts.
That's the plan.
So that is,
I mean, you do run into customers that will refuse you access to be able to perform your CSI. So in the event that even though we are doing it in-house, we still have to have that ability to protect our system.
Would this access require going inside their house and looking at their cupboard and so forth?
Not their cupboards.
No, you're testing plumbing,
Yeah.
water heaters, typically you're checking things like that,
Because
or lead solder,
I've
things
heard
like
of some
that.
CSIs that involve precisely looking at cupboards and
so
sinks and so forth.
I
I can see where there's a problem with that.
Pretty much available plumbing that you could.
So you can.
what I would say is, one thing that customers may have experienced throughout this process, we can't necessarily speak to because we pushed it out to a third party to do for the most part. Staff would work on a standard operating procedures to, try to hit certain points. The only time you would usually open up a cabinet would be you would open up something underneath the sink. So because that is where you'll see the old plumbing where there may be copper, which is where you would test the lead solder on it. A lot nowadays, specific neighborhoods, you'll see a lot of water softeners. That's another area that we can tend to test. So there's only one test that has to be done with the swab to indicate whether there's lead present in the fitting or not. But other than that, ideally, everyone treats that a little bit differently. Like I guarantee you can pick 2 or 3 of the CSI representatives that are on the VPO list for us and have them come do a CSI, and they would probably still do it 3 different ways. And it's more so just ensuring that we have that standard operating procedure and that's something we'll establish. Again, part of the deal with hiring employees is to get them trained ahead of time. So to go back and answer your question of looking in the under cupboards, that could be a place if for some reason the CSI inspector hasn't had the opportunity to conduct that lead swab test. Unless the house is completely out of
So you
PVC.
said check valve or some kind of device to prevent the backflow. What do we care about looking under the covers? Like, I got a problem with that. That's
The solder, it would be the solder, the lead
that's a
solder.
them problem. They wanna risk it having lead or not.
See, this is the fun part about TCEQ is, they pick it. So the lead and copper rule, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, this is an EPA. This is a federal issue.
But I've never heard about the EPA looking under covers.
So it's not,
The
yeah, the EPA doesn't so much assess, like the EPA doesn't come out and say, hey, this is how you do a CSI. EPA comes out and says, hey, you need a test to ensure that there's not more than 0.000% of lead, 0.00% of copper. To get that test done, we have to be able to see some plumbing in that facility. So if open, usually the easiest is opening up the bottom of the sink, unless again, the only way that it's not needed is if, it's a PEX, or which a lot of houses are going to, or if it's all PVC, clearly you're not gonna find anything that you have to test with that. But again, every house is made, houses tend to be constructed differently. So that may not be the case for everyone. A lot of it does base off the year that the house was built. But the lead and copper rule is a federally mandated, unfunded, mandated test that anyone over 3,000 population, or is it connection? So this is population, 3,000 population is required to do this test across the entire country. And it was a really big thing that we had to get submitted by October of 24, I think.
Lead and copper inventory.
So it is to kind of circle back to this again. I think this isn't, what staff's hoping is that the strategic planning rules and regs committee recommends this up to the board, so that way we can get this information out there, just this as it applies to the credit reimbursement program.
Well, since the first time I've seen this, I would suggest to the other directors to chew on it a little bit. I like it. I like the gist of it, but
And I would like to still bring it up to the Indy.
So when we bring it to the board, they're gonna see this letter beforehand too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that,
I would like to, I would still bring, of course, this is the time where we would take, this is the whole point of these meetings, is to address whatever concerns y'all may have ahead of time, so that way we can reword it, refine it, and then represent it at the board meeting. For the most part, so again, feel free to redline it or make recommendations on it. What I will say is, the reason that towards the end it's highlighted or bolded in black is because, again, we want to reiterate that it's still required by state law. This letter is intended to feel more like a general manager speaking, or a person speaking to a person. This isn't, there's no code that's referenced in this. There's nothing like that. This is me basically trying to have a conversation with our customers, saying
it's a
like,
good
hey,
letter. It's a good letter. My concern is just what happens as of September 30th. That's my concern.
at September 30th, staff would then evaluate how many of the CSIs are left per route, and then work out a standard operating procedure on how we
We
go
go
about
ahead and do
it.
the CSIs.
Yes, sir.
At whose expense?
Yeah, well, I think that was, it's gonna be for the board to decide. I think in our current rules and regulations, we have a fee in there that we would charge the customer.
Well, I'm against that. We draw the ball, not them.
But again, we'll cross that, we can cross that bridge when we get to it, or we can cross it, earlier the better. It's one of those things we can bring up to the next.
Then we bill the customers, or
No, that's not.
I think it's one of those things that we can definitely put on that specific issue as far as who covers what, pays for what. We can bring that into the
but you have
next.
my feedback on that now, that we dropped the ball, not them. We were supposed to ask what we did. We've been providing service for years, so we pony up with it.
so
Okay.
us doing the CSI would be cheaper.
I mean, is that a fair assessment to say, finance?
I think depending on how long it takes, yes, because what we pay an hour, it's gonna be cheaper than.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
We got the hourly rate plus whatever, benefits, et cetera.
And if the board,
Still under 100.
I mean, honestly,
yes.
it's just one of those things that the board ultimately can decide on. The staff can recommend one way or the other, even if we were to put in a minuscule $25 per se, which I think it's at $150 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
A service fee,
Yeah, just a regular service fee. And let's say that's to cover the basic fuel usage, the wear on the vehicle, like just to try to put something back into the pot, so be it. But if not, then no.
So we're covering 100 right now.
Yes, sir.
And would cost somebody else $150 to get it done by Crystal.
Yeah, clearly we would, again,
If we went with our service.
yeah. And,
Well, I'm one
again-
person who has not had it done on 9 units, so, and my biggest problem is I have 2 or 3 people who they don't want anybody coming into place. it's just such a pain in the rear to get.
Yeah,
Well, I will tell you that, the water code authorizes folks, staff to enter any public or private property to make sure that rules are being applied.
Oh, yeah, under limited circumstances, yeah.
Under rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but clearly we understand that there's a sensitivity that needs to be out there. So that's why the letters get sent out in advance. That's why there could be a mutually agreed upon date. And that's the date and time that works works out well for staff, works out well for the customer. So that way, we're not just showing up and saying, hey, let us in. That's definitely not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's a process we can finesse and iron out but the first things first is we need to acknowledge let me rephrase that, the earlier we can acknowledge that the credit program itself specifically is coming to a close, the better off the district will be. So that way they understand that, hey, that we're not waiting till August or September to say, hey, or September 1 to say, hey, this is ending in 30 days.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, letting y'all know what R was early as possible. Letting you know that this is what's happening. So that way,
I mean, other than just having the personnel to take care of it, it would make more sense for us to be doing.
yes, sir. It definitely sharpens our tools when it comes to, the day-to-day operations of the normal operator, for sure.
Any questions, sir?
So just to,
Nope.
are you gonna take a look at this, sir, and then get back with the
Well,
staff?
we're gonna put it on the agenda, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? And I'll reach out to the board members,
Okay,
with recommendations on.
I think as long as the
Not
board
reject
members.
more than two.
No, 2 at a time, yes, definitely 2 at a time.
Not two at a time. Two.
Well, yeah, it would be,
2 and 2 is a walking court in violation
no,
of the meeting.
if I send an email to them too, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Then I send a separate email to Director Cash and Director Patterson, I'm okay.
walking court. No, you're not.
over the same topic.
Elaborate.
The Open Meetings Act says that if you do that, you have communicated with a quorum of the board, right? It all comes down to communication through the quorum of the board. And I can provide you offline.
No, but just give me like a layman's explanation of it.
Well, the idea is, what is the Open Meetings Act? What was it intended to do? Let's start.
Transparency.
Exactly. Transparency in government, and that the deliberations of a governmental entity should be public. So what shouldn't be happening is decisions are being made before the board meeting through communications like you described, and then the board comes and rubber stamps.
What if it's on two different topics?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more a single item topic based.
So if he talked to two,
So like,
On
for
the
example,
CSI.
for example,
And two
if
for-
you emailed Mr. Reiniger and Ms. Cash about, or actually as of right now, between Ms. Cash and Ms. Velasquez, there's financial emails that are going out right now. So that's okay. And then, but if he emails Ms. Tran and Mr. Roscoe about the CSI letter, even though y'all are here, then that's perfectly fine, right? It's a more of a topic of the matter per se.
Yeah, and we don't have forums.
Right here, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which actually works out really well.
Okay, so let me.
So you include yourself as the email, that's 3.
Yeah, both street.
Yes,
But they will get this letter to.
Yes, sir. yes, sir.
Okay, so if I want to say, hey fellas, we're considering this, here's my take on it. And I email, Director Cash, Director Patterson, that's the extent of it. I cannot email, Director Velasquez or Director Reiniger
On the same subject?
on this,
Absolutely not. Yeah, that's a walking.
okay? That's gonna slow things down.
It's law.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm all for the transparency, so no problem. It's just. The
So
deliberation.
I think, if, correct me if I'm wrong, Howard, would it be easier for me to send it out to all the directors?
Absolutely.
Would you prefer that I do that? You give me the,
If I give you my take on it.
Yes, sir.
And you give it to the director.
so you and
I may have an issue with that. Yeah. And so I'll just read you this. It is a criminal offense for a member of a government body to knowingly engage in at least one communication among a series of communications that each occur outside of a meeting, and that concern an issue within the jurisdiction of the government body in which the members engaging in the series of communication constitute a quorum.
So if he sent me his recommendations back and I just sent it out as a, here's the latest draft that will be presented and not ask for feedback.
I think if you sent the board a copy of the letter that was marked up, so you've marked the letter up to your satisfaction, and you send a letter to the board and say, this will be presented to the board meeting, that's fine. Okay. But what we couldn't do is have commentary regarding, if, let's say there was an item bad. You wanted to express your opinion on, with respect to all the board, separately to all the board members. What we need to do in this case is mark up the letter, send it to Michael, and Michael can send it on.
Can I send it back to him and say, is this good? Try to do it and then send it?
Yeah. To
It's just you two.
Because it's just us having that conversation.
Yeah.
The problem with that is if these deliberations pertain to staff or to Michael, he would be privy to that.
So,
Via this route, that you
Yeah.
suggested.
so let's say, let's say you had a concern with a given staff item. It has to be a board item. So, an item before the board. And so bear in mind that it's about business.
Realistic example, he wants to implement the increased impact fee, I don't.
Yes,
So by going through there, he's privy to my thoughts,
yes,
going via that route.
yes.
So what is the solution?
There is no solution. You discuss it in the meeting.
It'll be a longer meeting, but okay.
That's all. I mean, it's transparency. Yeah, it's transparency.
Really good. Open meetings, I already got the freedom of information or PIA.
Yeah.
So all those emails are open for the public.
That's right. But still, decisions have to be made in board meetings. Deliberations have to be undertaken. And the word is deliberations. So if, what we can't do is you can't get the agenda for the board meeting, let's say later this month. See that there's an item on there you have a concern with. Send an email expressing that concern to two directors here and then the rest of the directors. Yeah, that would be constituted.
Yeah, because I remember previous manager was just rubber stamping. It's rubber stamping. That's why I'm very perplexed. You're saying, well, they can't just rubber stamp. Boy, I saw that all day long.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, before your time.
So with the letters, we'll do that, Mr. Benavides. Any markups, I'll address them and then,
Well, I'll be emailing you. And my suggestion, I really, really love that second sentence. I can't stress that enough. That's awesome.
that's why it's bolded.
It was that.
That's why it's bolded.
Exactly. But my suggestion is that we go ahead and cover the cost of the CSI and just set up
I think we put that,
after the 30th.
I think we put that on the next, SP R&R meeting. And then that way we can address that and be ready for that when this is implemented.
So
So,
presenting this to the board on the
So-
3rd.
yes, sir. So the that's specifically to the ending of the credits. Now, next meeting, we can discuss, okay, this is what we want to look at the fee to be. This is how we want to go about handling it in-house or how the staff's going to go about it. And I think we can separate that as a completely different subject for us to converse about in the next meeting.
Okay, I'm just pretty certain if I wasn't at this meeting right now, and this was brought up on the April 23rd meeting, I would say, okay, so what happens afterwards? If we agreed to end the credits on the 30th, what happens afterwards? First question I would ask. So,
Staff takes the CSIs in-house,
yeah, so we have to have an answer for that.
which sending this out ahead of time still allows us that time to have that answer when the September 30th goes into effect. So by the May Strategic Rules and Regs Committee meeting, this would be one of those things that we can put, and
What I'm
that's,
saying is that I would email you, and that way you can address it to the other board members. I'll tell you, hey, this is what I suggest. Okay, it is on the 30th, fantastic. Once it ends, we can go ahead and start undertaking the CSIs. We cover the costs, our personnel does it, and we'll just design a plan. That way, when the board is presented this letter, they also know what happens afterwards, because I don't think they're gonna,
I mean, we can have that something we can address that, you know.
Because I know I want to vote on it if I don't know what happens
Yeah,
afterwards.
no, for sure.
I will hear.
So would we, just so I understand, because I want to make sure that.
Yes, sir, sure.
that things are done correctly, is the idea that staff, that it would be executed at district cost as of the
October 1.
okay, the expiration of the,
After the 30th, this is correct.
so it would, we can certainly address what happens after that, but we will need to come back and amend rules and regs to strike the fee.
Yes,
Which I guess that's why I'm saying.
that's probably what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, so he's saying what I'm saying,
Yes,
just,
the next rules and regs that we write down that we're gonna cover.
yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. So this, I guess I'm more,
Didn't you?
yeah. Well, I guess because I'm trying to speak to specifically just the letter and then I hear what you're asking and then.
It all started, as you said, non-discriminatorily.
Yeah, there it is. It's all downhill after that.
All right, next item. Company motto, and item 3C, company motto.
So that's just, building an identity beyond, you know, outside of what, the customers have experienced or known crystal clear to be up to this point. I just wanted to come up with something that was strong and that spoke to, what our mission is, and then also speaks to the history of the district being 62 years old and making decisions now or going forward with decisions that we hope to keep the district here for 60 more years and beyond. So that I feel, you know, kind of coming across some sayings and kind of putting something together. What I kind of came out with was basically kind of what I showed you, you know, as you were walking out from the last board, but securing water, sustaining generations. I just think that it's something that I think we're not trying to put it all over everything right away. It'd be something we would roll into, but I think that it just speaks, it kind of, again, gives us that internal, it gives us that identity that that speaks to what our mission is here within Crystal Clear.
It's catchy. Where's the service part? I'd really like to have something in there that states that we're here to serve the people. Something like that would, in my opinion, and
Yeah, so that's, and I think that's where we have, internally, we have that, there's a whole other thing that I don't think it's in here. Oh, yeah, it's, something, the START program. That's something that I'm gonna bring in internally, which speaks to the employees, and it's an acronym for stewardship, transparency, accountability, reliability. What was it? The last T? No, the T, transparency. The other T is trust. And then the last S ends with service. And it's an acronym START. So the intent is I'm gonna build that internally, foster that within the culture to let every employee know that everything that we do starts with the individual employee. It starts with us, you know, utilizing those acronyms to ensure that we are doing the best job every chance we get to ensure that we're doing right by our customers. And kind of, again, bringing that sense of ownership to what we're doing. And again, building the culture, creating an identity for the employees internally to feel proud of, be proud of, and be able to go out there and execute that every day.
if you can find a way to put service in there, that'd be great. Because that's exactly what should be in the forefront of our minds.
Yes, sir.
Serving our customers.
And it is 1,000% is. So I'll work on that, sir.
Any suggestions, or process?
I'll just try and keep it short, sweet.
It is, I like it, short and sweet, yeah.
I like it. It means sustaining generations.
Speaks to the service to get us that far, I guess is a good way.
You can't keep having service the generations moving forward unless you are concentrating on service.
What about sustaining and serving generations?
Serving generations.
I like that, you know.
Serving generations.
Sure. So Securing water, serving generations. I'll play with it.
I know it's dear.
You spent a lot of time.
It's like, yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah, man. I think if also, if y'all don't mind just chewing on it, I mean, just, you know, show it to a couple people maybe and just say, hey, what does this tell you? You know, do you read service when you read this? And I do,
Not your other board members, but.
no, well, I mean, like Austin, your wife, like, just kind of say, do you read this, do you read service? And again, that's just my intent is to keep, two strong statements and then just something that fit underneath the logo and we could either put on the future towers as time goes on, or we could add to our logo head and put on our signatures for staff to do all that stuff.
So that's gonna change on the website?
That's a whole nother conversation, Mr. Muse, the website.
I mean, on here, you got committed to providing clean, safe.
Yeah.
Mission, is that a mission?
That's more of a mission statement. This is just more of a motto. This is to be short, sweet, like go Spurs go, but like sustaining, like not.
I was wondering if you're gonna put that.
Yeah, no, so
on the website.
the revamped, redesign of the website is something that we're looking to incorporate for next budget.
Going that route, I was just,
Yeah, but no,
because I'm just reading what's on the website.
yes, sir,
now.
we would clean up, it up across several different areas. But,
Yeah, play with it a little bit. Let's see what you go.
I'll give you a couple options.
All right, okay. Next item, item 4, executive session. Do we have any executive session items?
So I gotta apologize for that. The intent was to go into executive session and discuss kind of some more things and details, specifically to something that I think should still only be directors only, between staff and directors. And when we can, given the fact that we don't have anybody online and there's not a quorum present. So I think once we adjourn the meeting, there is some things after the fact that I think we can discuss.
Very well. Future agenda items, several, in my case, a couple of changes to the rules. Some are big, some are relatively small. For example, I believe per our rules, we don't accept payments, even though they might be postmarked by the due date. So we gotta change that. That's definitely not a service-oriented attitude. So little changes here and there that I'll go ahead and email you about them. And that way the other
Yes,
board
sir.
members and the public can be aware of what they are.
And then we'll bring up the CSI. We'll have a plan for that at the next
Yes.
strategic.
Excellent idea. Yeah, this is after September the
Yes,
third.
sir.
Yep. Greg Roston, anything?
So we'll go with these two clearly,
Anything on the next? Meeting?
strategic planning wise and rules and regs wise.
Yeah, it goes red. Data center stuff, sure, if not sooner.
We'll have a conversation here shortly, Ms. Trant. And then as far as this isn't everything that we can establish. Clearly, there's time to, between now and then, we'll work on setting a date for next month. Mr. Benavides, Thursday still seem to be good,
Yep,
correct?
they look fantastic.
And this time does work.
Yeah, fantastic.
No, this is the board meeting. So this
The
is,
board is 23rd.
yes,
And
ma'am.
then the next rules and regulations for strategic planning is gonna be the first Thursday of the month?
I don't see why that probably couldn't be an issue. I just haven't looked that far to look into the date.
Cause I know Mr. Booth asked me, and I told him it was the first Thursday of the month, so I wanted to make sure. if that's-
Usually, I think usually it's like what works for the majority of the committee members.
Yeah, just, I'm gonna be in Canada starting on the 14th through the 25th.
Of May. So yeah, we could probably get, I think, we'll select
So the first week would work?
First week or second week,
Okay.
Thursday?
Thursday.
No, just the first week.
Just the first week.
So what date is that, Mr.
What's the
Russell?
7th?
Okay, May 7th it is.
We could do it on the 28th, but I won't be here for two Thursdays.
You're gonna go do a live show and hang out there and try to win $500,000.
We go fishing.
There you go.
Oh, fun.
Alrighty, so May 7th and
May 7th is.
at 1 PM.
He has to.
For now, just those two.
Oh.
Give it some time, just, see if there's gonna be anything that's brought up between now and then. We may have some things, some ideas, after we shake out this April 23rd meeting on what we need to change as well on our end. Just need to be on that side of the table now, Mr. Meaden.
Pardon me?
Just need to be on that side of the table now. With a little plaque in front of you.
If that's what you choose, then.
No, it won't be, no, that's not me to choose, that's the customers of the district or the ratepayers to choose. They vote you in there.
All right, that's part of that survey.
Good, take my point.
Unless you leave. You're here for 3 years, mistress.
3 years, long time.
Is there anything you want to add for the eventual direction?
Well, I mean, you
Well,
know,
we're gonna go into executive and then come back to the public again.
No, cause, and that's why I apologize, because I didn't specifically name data centers, but the fact that we don't have a quorum allows there to be a discussion about issues within the.
But don't.
We got
That's exactly.
Well, we got, yeah, cause that's the three, that's,
Clear to adjourn the meeting?
yes, sir.
Very well, meeting is adjourned at 2:11.
2:11.
The seconds.